Okay, so I want to walk you through this new script. So this one is going to be for rendering out in progress shots so that they can be reviewed by the production company or the director. The main difference between this one and the previous one is that the previous script was run in a very clean project because it was one of the first things that you would do working on that project. This one is going to be run in a very messy project because they're going to be finished shots. So there's going to be lots of compositions in here, including some compositions that have the same names possibly as the ones that we're working on. At least the script should be able to deal with that. So the way it's going to work is that you're going to select several shots here in the project pane and hit run script or render shots button in the dialog for or in the UI for this new script. And so what's going to happen is it's going to iterate through each one of these and figure out how to render it for review. So let me walk you through how that's going to work in detail, one at a time. So the script will have all of, will know which compositions you're going to be working on. So I'm just going to use one as an example. So let's say RML 360. So what it's going to do is it's going to figure out what composition this comp is used inside of. So in this case, it's only used in one comp, this RML master review. It's used one time. So if the comp is only used one time, then all you need to do is go into the comp that it's being used. If there's multiple comps that it's used in, then you have to figure out which one you should use. So the rule is, if there's one comp, you should just use that comp no matter what it's called. If there's more than one, you should use whichever one ends with the word review. And if there's multiple comps and none of them use the word review, then the script should just throw an error and say, it can't proceed because there are multiple comps that RML 360 is used in. But assuming that there's either only one or there's one called review, then what you're going to do is you're going to go into that composition and find this comp. So you'll see that not the entire thing is used in this comp. There are always going to be some handles, or usually going to be some handles. So you're going to find the in point and the out point of this composition. So in the UI, there's going to be this button that you click that says render shots. There's also going to be a few options, and so one of those options is going to be a text field or a slider where you can enter a number of frames of handles. So let's just say for this example that you've entered 100, that it says frame handles one, and you enter 100. There's also going to be some options for render settings and output module. We'll get to those later. So we're going to say that it's 100 frame handles. So you've gone in here, you found where the first comp is in the only comp where it's used. And the script will want to make a note of this comp because not all of these will necessarily be inside the same comp. We'll get to that later. So you're going to find the endpoint and you're going to go 100 frames back from there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And we can put a marker there, or the script can just take note of where that is. You're going to find the out point. You're going to do the same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this is the range that we will want to render for the composition. This is the range that we'll want to render as an output comp. Now, we won't want to render it immediately because the script is going to have to do a little bit of figuring out here, and I'll get to explaining exactly how that's going to work in a second. So we're going to note in the composition, like, okay, we want to render from here to here, and then you're going to move on to the next shot. So RML 370, and yep, it's only used in one thing. Here it is. So you're going to do the same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. New. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. And so then you're going to keep going through all of the shots that were selected, and you're going to do this to all of them. Just give me a second here. You notice that they're not necessarily in ascending order or anything like that. It's going to be like quite arbitrary what their names are and what their relationship to one another is in this column. And of course, not all of the layers are going to be things that you selected here. So you just go through for each of the selected comps, right? So I just did 360, 370, 380, 390, and 400. Then we have 790. Okay, here it is. Note this one does not have handles. Okay, and then I'll do one more just so that we have a couple of examples here. So again, whether or not the script is making markers, it's just figuring out where each of these in and out points for the render is going to be. Okay, so now comes the interesting part, because if the clips were all spread out far apart on the timeline, this would be fairly simple, right? What you would do is you would just set the render area on the timeline to the in and out points based on the handles, and then you render this clip with the the selected render settings and output module, and then you'd move on to the next one and do the next one, etc. And that's the whole thing. However, that only works if the clips are really far apart, like these. So the idea is that if the handles overlap with another clip that you are also rendering, then you will render those clips together as a single clip. So basically, this handle and this handle overlap with one another. So these two clips are going to be part of the same render. This handle and this handle overlap with one another. So these are going to be part of the same. This one and this one overlap with one another, so they're going to be part of the same. And then this one and this one don't, so they won't be part of the same. Now again, the clips might not be in this order, right? That might be like, like this. And if that's the case, then it's going to render it exactly the same way, right? This one and this one overlap, and this one and this one overlap with this. So it has to check. It has to check every clip against every other clip, essentially. So once you figure out which ones are going to be together, then this becomes one big clip, and so you set it to the beginning of the first handle and the end of the second handle. So this gets rendered with 360, 370, 380, 390 all in one thing. And then once that's done, then it would move on to this, just this, which is just 400. And then once that's done, it would move on to this, which is just 790, etc., etc. So relatively straightforward. Just like a little bit of flexibility is required so that the script renders things that are close together in one big chunk. Now, one question, so when there's only one clip in it, then it's pretty easy to understand what you should name the output render. So the output render's name should just be set to the name of the clip, RML 400. If there are multiple clips put together, then it should do something, ideally, a little bit flexible with this. So it should start with RML underscore, it should start with the full name of the first clip, RML underscore 360. But then, if there is something in the name of all the other ones that's some characters and an underscore, and it's the same as the first characters in the first clip, then it should not repeat that. So ideally, when it's rendering this clip all together, for example, it would look something like this: RML underscore 360 underscore 370 underscore 380 underscore 390. So it omits the RML from the first part of it. Now, it won't always be RML underscore, but it'll be some characters followed by an underscore. And if they're the same in all of these, then it should be, it should omit them. It should omit any of them that are the same as what's in the first one. So once something goes into the render queue, then basically the render settings and the output module just gets set based on whatever is in this UI, and the output to name just gets set based on what we discussed. Once we get this working, I might pay a little extra to have you add a version number to it, but we'll have to talk about how adding the version numbers would work. I think that this is a good stopping point for a first version of this script. I want to get the basic functionality of it in place. But if this works, then what will happen is it'll just make a bunch of review files that the director can watch and see the shots in their relevant context, so that the director can give notes on it. All right, that's it. Thank you so much. Let me know if you have any questions. Bye.